Good morning to you. You are watching Issues at Hand here on Good Morning Family, only on Church of Uganda Family TV. My name is Tumuhere Bruno Edgard, and of course, Issues at Hand is proudly brought to you by Protea Hotel Entebbe. I know that you have many testimonies, you have many nice stories, because many of you went to Protea Hotel Entebbe for Easter. You see, I told you. So please feel free to share what you found and experienced about Protea Hotel Entebbe, but also feel free to share about the discussion we are having today when it comes to Issues at Hand. Feel free to share on any of our social media platforms. That's Church of Uganda Family TV, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on TikTok as well. Yes, we want to hear from you. And of course, if you'd like to make a reservation or booking, make sure you call the number that's going to come up on the screen so that you get yourself an available place at Protea Hotel Entebbe. Now, the discussion that we're having this morning centers around the state of affairs in the country. Now, over the weekend, we had a lot of summons coming from a lot of church leaders, and some of the pivotal things that were spoken about are corruption and things like the fight against anti-homosexuality, the fight against homosexuality. That is especially when it comes to the anti-homosexuality bill that is waiting to be assented to by the president of Uganda. And of course, on matters corruption, the biggest talking point right now is the Iron Sheets saga that everyone is talking about, and more people want to see what the investigations come up with when it comes to this issue. Now, with me to discuss these matters today is Mr. Christopher Lwanga, who is the head of research and documentation of Uganda People's Congress. Welcome back to Issues at Hand.
Thanks very much, Comrade Bruno, for hosting me another time and giving me an opportunity to discuss current national issues, which are very, very important. But before I proceed, I convey Easter message greetings from our party president, Honorable Jimmy Akena, who wants us to have this period as a period of reflection, as a period of forgiveness, as a period which gives us hope to challenge, to confront any serious national issues and family issues. So, warm greetings from 6th floor, Uganda House, plot 8 to 10, Kampala Road.
Now, thank you so much. We are grateful for those greetings and for that reminder that we must reflect and we must forgive. That's very important. But do you think that there's forgiveness when it comes to the Iron Sheet saga? Actually, this morning someone was telling me that this might be a screen as a way by some forces to divert us from something else that might be in the works from government especially. So is this a diversion, or is this a very serious matter? How do you understand, what comes to mind for you when it comes to this issue of the Iron Sheet saga?
Thanks very much giving me this opportunity to reflect on the Iron Sheet saga. I would say that when we have such type of sagas or national crisis, there is a lot it tells. Now, it is that lot which it tells, which is very, very important than the actual saga itself. And here, allow me to draw you a little bit backwards. We had the gold allegation scandal in Uganda in 1965. And it was our government which was at the center of it. And one leader of opposition, Daudi Ocheng, pushed it to parliament. And he managed to get a few of our members to back him, to support him. But when our government sat, they said, no, we should not go with Daudi Ocheng because he doesn't know the details of this thing. The details are East African leaders appointed Uganda as a military center for helping the rebels trying to restore Lumumba's legacy in Congo. And as a result, Amin was appointed as the chief military officer for reconnaissance, for planning, and what have you. Then the rebels, the Lumumbis, got hold of Amin and presented their issues and presented the resources for Amin to secure the arms. If one party member landed on Amin's account statement on the Ottoman Empire, he did not know the finer details because we could not disclose all those details at one go. A motion was debated and all the MPs except one, John Kakonge, voted in favor of setting up a commission, wanting a commission to be set up to clear the name of the Prime Minister and some 3 ministers like Onama Felix, who was the Secretary General and Minister of Defense, then Nechoni, who happened to be the cousin of Dr. Apollo Milton Obote also. And when Daud Ochenge was presenting it on the floor, he over-dramatized and grabbed and brought in Dr. Apollo Milton Obote's name also. So a commission was appointed of East African judges, and when they went through the details, it cleared the government and it cleared the 3 ministers. However, others had anticipated some other things to use it as a coup, to unsettle, to decampaign the government and to overthrow him. I have been in a summary of it. Now, to come back to the actual saga of the roof, of the iron roofs in Uganda, it is representing 2 or 3 aspects which other people have not talked about. This is leadership and its organization. And how far have we set up democracy in our country? Why am I bringing that? It is simple, okay? If we have a clear-headed leadership and it is well organized, you cannot be caught up in this saga of iron sheets. And when you want to understand it, what policy is on the table? What do you follow when you are giving out items or when you are securing items on the behalf of the government? What is the procedure? Okay? It shows that there are some heavy missing gaps. Okay? And these missing gaps are indeed worrying. It is as if we are operating in a vacuum. Even take it at a family level. Okay? At a family, each one can be free to eat a sweet banana. Each one can be free to eat a sugar cane. But when it comes to other things, whether it is the food put on the table, you are told until you are served. Okay? You cannot. Now, when it comes to this issue of government properties, even there is a procedure of securing them. Even there is a procedure of transporting them. Even there is a procedure of receiving them. Even there is a procedure of writing down. Even there is a procedure of accountability. What we have sent to that end, has it been received? Has it been accounted for? Where are the returns? Okay? All those procedures went missing in this saga of the iron sheets, which means that our government and ourselves as people and ourselves as a country, we are being indicted. How are we doing things? How are we running the state? Okay? I can give a very, very good example. Our founding father, Dr. Apollo Milton Obote, during the 1980s, he issued a presidential directive that from today onwards, I don't want anybody who receives donations below this much to be covered on Radio Uganda and UTV. And he was directing it to one minister who had made it a habit that wherever something little has come in, he has already invited the cameras are flashing his name. Even when it is a donation of 10,000 shillings, 20,000 shillings, why? He had a certain agenda somewhere. So we have really to dwell on our level of leadership and organization, and that is statecraft. Okay? And this issue of the saga is just one of it. We are simply treating a symptom. Ever since our brothers and sisters came from the bush, January 26 January 1986, it has been a scandal after a scandal, a scandal after a scandal, a scandal after a scandal, which means that the system is not watertight. It encourages abuse. And where is this abuse coming from? Of course, I have said leadership and organization.
Now, we are currently having an investigation by CID, investigations, probes by parliamentary committees, and so far we have seen that the Minister for Karamoja, that's Mary Tutu, has been before the Anti-Corruption Court and she has been remanded to prison. What does this investigation tell you? Does it give you confidence that the systems at hand are trying to fight corruption when it comes to this particular issue?
Actually, most of these things don't need such type of investigation which has swung into action. This is normally, essentially, government systems. There is a way they work. It is the internal auditors and external auditors to compile a report. And it is that report now which they forward, which becomes either parliamentary, which is forwarded to Parliamentary Accounts Committee, to Auditor General's report, because the records are there. And it is government system to government system. So the Auditor General can come in and do a thorough job. Rushing in that we do this, we do this, we do this, you simply put the country on tension and we expose ourselves before the rest of the world that, this is how we handle issues. Why? It could have been handled confidentially and we just receive a statement.
But on that,
yes,
that's the thing, that we have a lot of matters where we have been told by police and other investigative bodies that the matter is being investigated and we don't see the results come out at the end. And that's why there are people who are saying it's good to see that this has come out in the public so that we can see whether the government and the systems that have been set up are willing to fight this issue of corruption.
When I was starting, I talked of leadership and the organization. This organization looks into several aspects. Now, take an example of the government, okay? We have the judiciary, we have the parliament, we have the executive. Are they really institutions we can be proud of, that they are pushing us forward, they are independent, they are looking at issues critically? You are going to find that the issue of the saga, of the Iron Roof saga, has caught the three arms of government at a wrong way, okay? Because look at it this way, okay? It is only two people who took those iron sheets for personal interest. Where I'm saying personal interest, one was roofing, I think a goddess shed, and another one was taking to the market to sell, okay? But the rest are taking iron roofs to roof a classroom, which belongs to the government. Another one is taking to do a health center, 3D roofing. They are all taking them to government infrastructure. Now my question, which I've been making here several times wherever I come, where is the central government? Where is the local government? Why is the whole burden, which is supposed to be central government, local government, falling on the shoulders of an ordinary MP?
Of an individual.
Yes, on an individual, an ordinary MP. And even if that ordinary MP is a minister, he's not again a line minister. I would have been very comfortable if Mama COVID, this is Dr. Lucy Achengi, is the one giving the iron roofs to health centers. If Mama Janet Kataha Museveni or Muyingo is the one giving those iron roofs to schools which have been broke, it makes sense that he's a line minister. But all these who touched Mabati, who touched iron roofs, are not line ministers. So does it mean that our structure at executive level is not following a certain systematic pattern?
But the systematic pattern might be there because, like you've said, there are systems of procurement and procedure when it comes to government. But it seems in this instance, there was a deliberate effort to not follow that actual system of procurement because, like you've said, how is it that we have the central government and the local government, and yet these iron sheets found their way to homes of individual ministers? What are they doing in their homes? And some of those ministers, like Matia Kasaija, have come out to say that, well, I didn't know about the iron sheets, I don't know who they come from, it was my personal assistant. I mean, where is the communication from the different offices saying you are going to receive these iron sheets and they are for this particular purpose? And is that also one of the issues that we are actually uncertain as to who the beneficiaries of these iron sheets were? Because yes, we're all saying Karamoja, but I read a report last week where leaders from Karamoja were saying we actually didn't ask for these iron sheets. So is that a sign that there's a deliberate effort to tamper with the system to gain certain interests?
Yeah, there is another thing which I said, that there are two aspects of this issue which others have not mentioned. I have talked about leadership and organization. The other element which I have not talked and which answers that one is how prepared, how serious is our democracy and democratic consciousness. Okay, you are going to see that we are running a government, we are running a system with the less democratic consciousness, with the less, with not a proper way of doing things. Okay, because if democracy is at its peak, it is well deepened. Okay, you will find that it is very, very difficult for anybody, even within the ruling party, to go against the core values of the ruling party. Okay, because it would tell you, do you want us to be voted out of government because of corruption? That is when a political party is working and is responsible for all its actions. Then others also who are in other political parties, they are also on tenterhooks. What is going on in the country? What is going on in the country? How can we assist our people in who are hit by relief? Which inter-party, which NGOs, which, how can we move in? Okay, such that it doesn't look as an individual show, because here I've talked about personal mentality, where everybody as an individual wants to show that is delivering, is working hard, but doesn't want to work through an establishment, doesn't want to work through an institution. Okay, and this is the legacy which we created when we banned the political parties. We banned the unacceptable standard political culture which enhances democracy and gives us those democratic lenses at seeing things. So we are now at the back foot and we are reaping the excesses of our short vision which we had created. Otherwise, if all our politics is working, parliament is working, structures are working, local leaders are working, we cannot have these issues. Okay.
Talking about structures,
yes.
Do you think there's a needed revision of the structure when it comes to the mandate of the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness and the Ministry of the Prime Minister's Office, the Office of the Prime Minister, when it comes to relief? Because again, we are seeing projects that are instituted by the Office of the Prime Minister giving relief to citizens in the country, albeit with good cause, and we've seen a lot of good has been done by the Office of the Prime Minister. But in this very instance where it comes to the whole ministry that's mandated to give this relief, that is the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, the Minister Hilary Onek came out to say that he had no idea of the iron sheets. But this is not the first time that we have seen, and yet, according to reports so far, this relief was coming from the office of the Prime Minister, through the Minister for Karamoja. So is there a revision needed when it comes to the mandate of those two offices?
Actually, what I can say here, there are serious lapses at an executive level. If you have been following in the Parliament, this money which bought those iron roofs was passed as supplementary in the Parliament. But Parliament has always complained that some key players, when it comes to some motions, they are not there. Okay? When it comes to appearing either parliamentary or what, they are not there. Okay? Now, if you miss it from Parliament, it becomes a little bit difficult to follow it from the ministry. Okay? And even at the ministry, we over-entertained this arrangement of private-public partnership. That thing has to be reviewed. Okay? Why am I saying this? Previously, we used it to have a central tender board, okay, which could handle every aspect of government purchases and giving out orders. Then from there, we have a section which transports those items. But now, you will sympathize with the Prime Minister's office. Is dealing with a certain trader who is bringing in unstandardized relief. Is dealing with a certain trader who is also bringing in, I don't want to mention names here, but this is how the office of the Prime Minister ended up with the beans which had weevils, okay? And with the milk which had not passed the test. Because they are dealing with so many people at the same time. And most of these people they are dealing with are traders, okay, who are really set for profit. And along the way, they are ready to jump whatever hurdles you put there in a clever way, okay? And in doing all that, they are compromising the service delivery. So, you imagine now, the Ministry of Disaster and the Prime Minister's office, how many people are they dealing with who are crafty, who are smart, who are ready to do anything in order to secure what they want? So you find at the end of the day, a lot of gaps are created, a lot of loopholes are exploited. Because of that arrangement we shifted to. And that's why even this delivery of Mabati, the final thing, it is causing a problem. Because if it was government to do its own delivery, government to organize its own transport, government to do what, there is no way that Mabati would have ended to me as an individual. Because we always know where government property goes. Okay, government property goes to Boma, goes to district offices, goes to areas which are gazetted. Anything out is just smuggled. So I have this feeling that the Prime Minister's office, the Disaster Preparedness Office, they have really to streamline their activities, and also the government to help them that please, this job is so demanding and we are dealing with the people who are very crafty, okay? Take an example. Most of these people you deal with, the traders, they will come and say, me, I will give you Mabati at 45,000. Me, I will give you Mabati at 50. Me, I will give you Mabati at 75, provided there is a cut I'm making. Now, to determine who should supply what, it is also another type of complicated politics. Okay? So, you expect a lot of these issues to flare up. You expect a lot of these issues to come up. And it is a bit unfortunate, okay? All the previous prime ministers we have had in Uganda have always been so much in supervising our fellow ministers and on politics. Okay? But now when it comes to a prime minister to be like a person heading produce marketing board, giving out to kawunga, giving out to ugali, there is a way such an office starts as if it is a ministry of supply, relief. Okay, there is that glamour, there is that element we associate with some offices. An office of a vice president, an office of a president, an office of a prime minister. Permit me to say this. During our time, I could not remember any time you could hear Prime Minister Eric Otema Alimadi distributing distributing beans which are rotten. No. I can't remember such a time. What I remember during UNRF days, when the price of matoke, the speculators had become too much and civil servants were suffering, I think the late Vice President Paulo Lwanga and Defense Minister was given that job, that please in all key government institutions get these cooperative transport trucks and you deliver matoke. By that time I was at Makerere and matoke was being delivered, lecturers were picking it, okay, at a cheaper price. But again, you could not hear Mwanga's name being pronounced. But here, what has happened? Bijanjalo, Binizi, what? When do you do the actual work?
And lastly, on this point of the Anchit saga, where, like I said, Minister for Karamoja, that's Emerit Tutu, has been remanded in prison and the investigations continue. Is this a sign that as Uganda we are ready to tackle this issue of corruption, especially when it comes to bringing the big wigs to book and to justice? Because this is a sitting minister and this is a show of force by the law and by the Ugandan people that we want those who misappropriate government money to be brought to book.
Actually, I'm sorry to say this. I feel very pity for my auntie Mere Goreti Chitutu, because I feel as if she's being used as a sacrificial lamb. Because to fight corruption, let us be very honest, you must have a stronger foundation. And this stronger foundation you must have is the word now which is going to hold values in the society. You must have a media which is very alert. And it is not stopping on mere journalism, but they do investigative journalism. I remember the other time when one person was trying to do investigative journalism and presenting his research on this manpower they are taking to Arab world. Police rounded him up and not even to present the investigative journalism. And yet the media are the eyes of the society. Now from there, when you look at that, civil society organizations, they are still very weak, okay? And when they are trying to do their job, which is supposed to be critical, bringing out issues, again you find that they have more interferences. So I highly feel that there have been more cases of Mere Goreti Chitutu, which have not been handled, which have not been brought to the table, but has been brought, okay? And let us hope it can be a good start, but it should not be selective, okay? It should not be selective. But at the same time, I'm cautioning the government, when such issues happen, it is not proper to blow them out of context. Whether it is the media, they should talk to the media. Whether it is the citizens, they should talk to the citizens. Some issues are embarrassing. They are embarrassing in this manner. And let me use this local example. You are at a family TV as a journalist. Sometime you may have an outing abroad and you appear before fellow journalists from family TV. The ideas which they will bring to you will be, those still iron roofs, those still beans, those still what, okay? And it will be very difficult, Comrade Bruno, to defend yourself, okay? I'm putting it at your level. Now, suppose it goes to the executive. The executive has gone out. All the parliamentarians have gone out. And some of those are the key players. Their friends will ask them, how did this issue start? You find that it is Uganda which is being narrowed down and which is being embarrassed, okay? Over things, by the way, these things we are talking about in other countries, it is a simple clerical work. Simple clerical work, okay? It's very simple. You take a country like Zambia, it is clerical work, okay? Because like in Zambia, each province used to have a granary, a huge granary which supplies the districts. And there were 9 provinces, now there are 10. But in each province headquarters have a granary where they were getting that maize, where they were getting that unga, ugali. But you could not hear such an issue. The only issue here, have we delivered the fertilizers on time? Have we delivered the bags on time? But here, and even what quantities are those? The quantities are so meager. But whether they are meager, they don't mean that you should pounce on them, divert them, you misuse them, or you abuse them. But at the same time also, let us go underneath. On several occasions here, I've told you that MPs have a lot of pressure because they are on the front line of all problems, of all challenges in the constituency. And their salary alone cannot handle the demands. So the MPs are ever running up and down from offices to offices, trying to lobby assistance to take back to their constituencies. And if you don't lobby, you are not very assured of your next term of office. So why is our government, or why is our system overburdening MPs? Who is there to do that work the MP has inherited? It means the central government is absent, or it is sleeping on duty. The local government is absent, or it is sleeping on duty. Or we have no capacity to look after our infrastructure we put in place.
And so that leads to individualism because there's no structure, which leads to abuse. Now, following that very same line, do you think we are going to see more revelations from the investigations, especially as far as other ministers who are on that list of beneficiaries are concerned? And how can government resolve this issue? And is there hope for people in Karamoja to receive these iron sheets? In the newspapers today, President Museveni has written to Nabanja, telling her that those people who took the iron sheets, finally we get to hear from him, the people who took the iron sheets need to return them, but also need to ensure that they return the cash, return them in cash, so that they can be used for the beneficiaries. So do you think there's hope at the end of the tunnel when it comes to this iron sheets issue?
Actually, I feel that the government is not handling this issue of the iron roof saga in the right way. I have mentioned, as far as I'm concerned, it is 2 people who took those iron roofs for their personal usage. The rest of them took the iron roofs to government property. Okay, if they took the iron roofs to government property, it means the government was sleeping on duty. And somebody, through his connection or through her contacts, has managed to ease pressure for the government, to deliver something to the government. Now the government should just normalize, okay, that arrangement and then compensate the Kalamajongo people where it was supposed to go. Because if now you say the rain came, it was so windy, classroom blocks, the roofs went off, and up to now they have never been repaired. An MP on humanitarian grounds has pledged or has got something from the Prime Minister's office and has put back at the classroom. Now you go and you unroof. It doesn't make sense. Where were you in the first place? If it is an emergency, it is an emergency. You are supposed to have moved in and do that work on time. Now, an innocent MP or an innocent minister has jumped in. When he jumps in that manner, you don't again victimize him that he has stolen. He has not put it on his personal property. He has put it on the property of the government, which property of the government is part of the taxpayers' contribution. So I don't really like to see our ministers or our MPs incriminated on such an issue and run it down. Instead, we should go back at our system and we see how we can perfect it. If it is a disaster, if it has happened, rain has been excessive, it has removed the roofs, let us know how we report it and how we address it. Okay, that rapid response system, like the way they do with security issues. You give them a situation that you suspect there is something here. They will dash with all the vigor, with all the ammunition, with all what, and they will be updating you. Now, when it comes to these issues, they sit back. And it goes back to the MP, it goes back to another minister who comes in the ride. And if you don't attend to that crisis, 2026, you are not coming back. So here, I really feel MPs who took those mabatis, those iron roof sheets to do government work, they should just be exempted and be told in the future follow this procedure.
When it comes to this issue of homosexuality in Uganda, what is your say on this, especially in line with what is happening with the passing of the anti-gay bill?
Yes, thanks very much. The issue of anti-gay bill is quite very sensitive, and one needs a lot of courage to comment on it and even to debate it, because there are a lot of issues which are connected. However, my party constitution respects any law which has been formulated by the government. So all the processes which have taken place in debating it, our party has been part of it. And we wait whether the president will bring back the law, the bill for adjustment here and here, or whether he will sign it at one go. That has to be waited. When it comes to issue of this bill, it has a serious input without compromise from the church angle, from the people who are looking after our morals and ethics. Okay, they will not want to compromise on some of those issues. And here, the voices of the clergy, the voices of the church, the religious leaders has been very heavy, has been very clear, and they have had even special prayers, and they have even fasted on this issue to give the parliamentarians more courage, more boldness to handle and to talk about it in details, and they want the law instituted very quickly in the way of protecting the rest. Now, where politics comes in now is where things become difficult. They have tried to say that all those who have been in this act, they will be rehabilitated. I don't know at whose cost, but normally when it comes to issues of rehabilitation, they are very, very expensive than the ordinary sickness. I have a practical example. My big brother was alcoholic and at the same time a heavy smoker. He got TB, and it was very difficult to confine him to stop, to allow the medication to take shape. So when we realized that this issue is very complicated, in the process we may lose the brother, we had to seek help from a rehabilitation center. And that rehabilitation center told us that you have to summon a family meeting, a clan meeting, discuss A, B, C, D. Ultimately, when you have discussed A, B, C, D, some may oppose, some may agree. Bring those who oppose to us, and we continue educating them. But ultimately, you are going to use the services of the police to get hold of your big brother and to bring him here. Okay? I'm sorry, I'm giving this experience to enable those who have talked about rehabilitation to know the challenges which are involved. Now, in the process, my mom, whom I have already told you, Mama Miriam Rutwama, who is 90 plus, had to append a signature. And also I had to append a signature. And now had to have a policeman with the supportive motorbikes, and we went and we got the brother on site. And we brought the brother, okay, and handed him to the rehabilitation center, where now they started doing their work. He could not access any beer, he could not access any cigarette, and they started working, fine-tuning him. One day, he managed to sneak away and was heading home. As he was reaching home, they rang me that this person has sneaked. Can you bring him? As the phone was ending, I saw him in the sitting room. Then we took him back. After we have taken him back, they again now organize the family sessions to see how we can be integrated in the society. And they told us that expect danger when he goes to society. His friends may say that you left us when we had stopped here. Can we continue? Expect that. And each day we are paying something like 50,000 shillings a day. And he stayed there 3 months. On his being released, of course, the family had got involved. Now we failed to handle the post-rehabilitation center experience. And he went back into his activity, and unfortunately, we lost him. I was at the center. Because I had worked too much and it was on me, I even took off to Bujumbura, Burundi to have a break and even look for a different job. I was so much affected. Okay, now when it comes to this issue, as I read the bill, that they are trying even to institute rehabilitation. To get these people in the first place will not be an easy thing. It will have to be a police activity. And with the consents written and agreed. Then the rehabilitation centers are not going to be the normal ordinary hospitals unless they seal off a certain wing. Okay? And to ensure that you don't go back to an activity which you have been used to, it would be like a struggle of my brother had. My brother managed to leave cigarettes, but he said, I can't leave beer. If I'm to die, let me die of beer. I'm sorry, I'm using my testimony to throw in more light, okay,
and
to this bill.
Indeed, and there's a lot of implementation mechanisms that's needed,
yes,
if this bill is going to be successfully implemented. But we've run out of time, but very quickly, we have not had much from the president, actually anything at all, apart from when he was meeting the parliament and said he wants the scientists to tell him whether it's by nature or by nurture. Do you think that, one, he'll come out to address this this issue, but two, do you think he's going to assent to the bill?
The president will be under serious pressure. All is already under serious pressure, and it is not only the president, the government and the country. Our only hope can be that maybe the oil money starts coming in, and there you can be under pressure and you run back to the oil money. Then also at the same time also our government should be more practical. This pressure they exert you on when you have not improved your agriculture and people cannot eat. At times, whatever good intentions you may have for your country, you are cornered in the corner and you start eating your words. Yeah, I don't think we are in a position now to take on the international community head on, unless we are very sure of our oil. Okay, and the other people, the other players who used it to come in heavily in this thing, it was the late Mugabe of Zimbabwe. Mugabe died, Zimbabwe's politics has not stabilized, but I would still go back to our issue, which I mentioned the other time. This initiative, let it have an East African initiative. Let it have an IGAD initiative or an AU initiative. It becomes easier now if Uganda is saying we are now dying on an AU position. We are now dying on an East African position. We are now dying on World Health Organization. But when you are singled as one country, it causes a lot of problems. And our budget, if you look at it in another way, you find that there is a heavy input which comes from outside. Our friends, at times, they don't compromise. They may switch off those taps. Okay? And the consequences when they switch off those taps are worse. But I'm not saying that we should be blackmailed. No. What I'm saying, we should always have fallback positions. Okay? Yes, we are going for this. Suppose they do this. What is our fallback position? Okay? This is the sort of spirit, this is the sort of heart I want the government to have. Yes, the government has gone and have done some good things, like restoring the Uganda Airlines, which the international community had not wanted, bringing back a national housing corporation. Okay, there are some of those good things they have done, but you know that they are even this determining of the oil pipeline that it should pass through Tanzania. They have offended certain sections of the big brothers. Now even here, they should do the homework that if the big brother come in and they do this, where is our escape route? Where is our escape route? Yes, this issue is very serious now, and it needs to be really handled in a manner it deserves, and we need to educate ourselves, especially on its consequences if it takes root. It is dividing societies. It is as if it is dividing societies. It is not only even here. The rest of African countries are talking about it, and some European countries are talking about it.
Indeed.
It is
and
not.
So it's important that
Yes.
our government can implement practical steps that are feasible as well. And we shall see how that transpires, especially on the end of whether President Museveni will assent to the bill. But I know there are a lot of Ugandans who are praying for him to assent to it and make it into law here in Uganda. Thank you so much, Mr. Christopher Lwanga, for once again giving us your mind on certain issues that are affecting our country. And thank you so much for being with us this Tuesday morning. We shall return tomorrow. For now, ciao. God richly bless you and enjoy the rest of programming here on Church of Uganda Family TV.